Welcome children, take out your geography book. Chapter 2, Population Dynamics. Today's topic, Underpopulation. Underpopulation is a state when the number of people living in a region is so few that there is a lack of full utilization of inner resources. Now, underpopulation. What is underpopulation? It is a state when the number of people living in a particular place is so less that there is lack of full utilization of resources. In this case, the available resources can support a far bigger population than what is present. In such a case, what happens? The resources which are available, they can support a few bigger population than what is there at present. The fertile temperature grassland region known as the prairies of North America is an example of a region having underpopulation. Now, for example can be taken as the fertile temperate grassland region which are known as the prairies of North America. It is an example of a region having underpopulation. Underpopulation is a situation which may result from high death rate due to natural disasters such as earthquake and flood. Now, underpopulation, what is it? It is a situation which results in the high death rate due to natural disaster, that is earthquake and flood. And low birth rate or high levels of immigration, people leaving the country to settle in another place, and even the birth rate or the high levels of immigration where people leaving the country to settle in another place. Now, impact of underpopulation. What is the impact of underpopulation? Negative impact. Underpopulation yields insufficient skilled labor force. Now, underpopulation, what does it yield? It yields very insufficient skill, very less skilled labor force. Due to lack of skill and technology, there is a poor utilization of resources that leads to poor economic growth and low standards of living. Now, there is poor utilization of resources, and what does it lead to? It leads to poor economic growth and even the low standards of living. Now, positive impact. What are the positive impact? This situation may also result in better job opportunities in the absence of fees completion, sufficient resources availability, and reduced levels of pollution. Now, this situation, these are the results of the better job opportunities in the absence of fees completion, which is sufficient resource and is available, and reduced levels of population. Now, the factors affecting the population change. What are the factors which affect the population change? The notable determinants of population change are there. Now, notable determinants of this population change, they are given below. One is crude birth rate and the other is crude death rate. Population growth rate. Then number 4th is migration. Birth rate, death rate and migrations are the major deciding factor. Now, what are the major deciding factors? That is birth rate, death rate and migration. These are the major deciding factors. The Census of India provides accurate data for all the above factors. Now, Census of data, what does it provide? It provides the accurate data for all the above factors for India. Now, crude birth rate. Birth rate or crude birth rate refers to the number of childbirths as per 1,000 persons in a given geographical area per year. Now, birth rate or the crude birth rate, what does it refers to? It refers to the number of live childbirths that is per 1,000 in given geographical area per year. Birth rates are higher in developing countries as the need to generate more helping hands is greater in the poor families. Now, birth rate. It is greater in higher developing countries because the need to generate more helping hands is more greater in poor families. In developed countries where both men and women are working and where living standards are high, birth rates tend to be lower. Now, in developed countries, what happens? Where men and women are working and where the living standards they are too high, birth rates also tend to be lower. Birth rates between 10 and 20 are considered low. Now, birth rate that is between 10 and 20, they are considered very low birth rate, while those between 40 and 50 are higher birth rate. Now, birth rate that is lying between 40 and 50, they are very high birth rate. high birth rate creates pressure on resources and finally leads to food crisis and poverty. Now, birth rate, what does it create? It creates pressure on the resources and finally it leads to food crisis and even poverty. The crude birth rate, that is CBR, is expressed as the number of live births in a year per thousand of population. Now, crude birth rate, that is CBR, it is expressed with the number of live births in a year per thousands of population. Crude death rate. Death rate or the crude death rate refers to the number of deaths per thousand people in a given geographical area in a year. Now, death rate, it is also called crude death rate. What does it refer to? It refers to the number of deaths, that is per thousand people in a given geographical area in a year. In the sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast African countries, death rate is high between the age group of 0 to 5 years. Now, in the sub-Saharan African region and the Southeast Asian countries, death rate, it lies between the age group of 0 to 5 years. In some of the developed countries, death rate is high due to high number of population in old age group. Now, in sub-developed countries, it is found that death rate is high. Why? Because of high number of population in old age group. Now, population growth rate. Population growth rate compares the average annual percentage change in population. Now, population growth rate, what does it compare to? It compares to the average annual percentage change in population, resulting from a surplus of births over deaths and balance of migrants. Now, what does it result to? It results to the birth over the deaths and balance of migrants who enters and leaves a country. The rate may be positive. Now, this rate, it may either be positive or negative. The start of the population in a world is currently growing at a rate of around 1.11% per year. Now, population in the world, present population in the world, it is growing at the rate of around 1.11% per year. The current average population change is estimated at around 80 million per year, and the current population change, it is estimated at around 80 million per year. Annual growth rate reached its peak in the late 90s. Now, annual growth rate, but it reaches peak in the late 1960s when it was 2% and above. When it was, that was 2% and above. Now, take out your diary, write chapter 2, population dynamics, topic underpopulation, explain, homework, revise it. And with this, I am ending my today's class.